You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just
speaking into the void?
But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast, or welcome to the podcast if this is your first time. I really, really appreciate you. This is one of those interesting episodes that just kind of happen. You know, I do hunt for guests. I do invite people on the show. Sometimes people reach out. This time, it was a little combination of both. I had seen Arcana Pickups around the internet, though I didn't really know who was responsible for them. I did appreciate the art that went into them aesthetically. And of course, being a metalhead, I also appreciated that that is who they were targeting and trying to serve. So lo and behold, it was quite a surprise to me to run into Ricky at Paradise Guitars, who you've heard on this podcast recently, and find out that they were local, which is really cool. And I've really enjoyed having more of the local Oregonian PDX scene here on the podcast lately, so it just was perfect timing and slotted right in. And you know what? I really, really like Ricky, and he does some really rad stuff, not just in the pickup world. He's just a creative, cool person in general, and we get into all that on the podcast. So without further ado, let's dive into this one with Ricky Sutton. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, a show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Ricky Sutton from Arcana Pickups, which we just discussed is the only way you're allowed to pronounce it.
Absolutely. Any other way, and you are stricken and forbidden from purchasing my products.
Oh, wow. It's gnarly. He didn't say the exact opposite of that or anything. Yeah, well, it's good to have you here, dude. I've seen your stuff floating around the heavy metal interwebs for I don't know, at least a couple of years now. I know you've been going longer than that, but I think that's about the time frame I became familiar with it. And then we just happened to run into each other at our friends Paradise Guitars. Shout out Jay and crew. And I thought, hey, we should do a podcast. Why the heck not? Got to get more Portlanders on this show.
Exactly. We're both from the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this actually, now that I think about it, this will be the within the last 2 months, you'll be like the third PDX person that's been on. So I guess I am sticking to that mission pretty well.
It's easy to happen. There's so much creativity around here. There's so much going on in the music scene. There's so many like nerds and gearheads. Like you're going to have an infinite sea of people to talk to, and just in this city alone.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I get some, it's weird. My home away from home is Nashville. And I feel like Portland and Nashville just keep swapping people.
Oh,
like there's a bunch of Nashville people I know that are like coming up here, and I know some Portland people that have went down there, and I'm just like, there's some sort of synergy there that I'm not sure what it is, but it's there.
Well, I might represent a slightly different take on that, in that I came to Portland from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Or just outside. Pretty
of
close. Yeah,
kind of close. It's the other one. It's the third one.
It's the third.
Yeah, I tell people that I'm originally from Tennessee, and they're like, "Oh, you're from Memphis?" And I'm like, "Nah." And they're like, "Are you from Nashville?" And I'm like, "No, I'm from Knoxville. That's the university town."
Yeah, I mean, you could say Pigeon Forge.
I was closer to Pigeon Forge. I was kind of between. I guess I was like between Knoxville and like the Kentucky border in very rural Tennessee. So I grew up essentially in the 1800s. Is how that works. The further off the main highway that you get, the further back in time you go.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that pencils. Yeah. I did some exploring. I have a grandfather, great. I can't remember how many greats he is. If it's like 3 or 2, I think it's 2. Grandfather buried in Kentucky, and last time I was down there, I tried to go find him. And when I got there, I called my grandparents because I was like, "This cemetery is a lot bigger than you made it sound like. I don't think I'm going to be able to find him in the 2 hours that I have."
That's cool.
So I did not find him, as a matter of fact, but I tried.
Okay, well, there's always next time.
That's right. And that's what we're here to talk about. This is the Dead Relatives podcast. Welcome to it, everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. Everybody pitch in with your favorite dead relatives.
Yes, or least favorite. Those are fun stories, too. All right, Ricky, enough of that. Let's get into your story. Like, obviously, you make pickups. Obviously, you're a metalhead. And as we established, from rural Tennessee. But what is the Ricky Sutton story? How did you find yourself here in Portland making pickups?
Those are 2 very different stories. But I have been in Portland for 22 years now, something along those lines. So it's been long enough that I could start calling myself a native, I suppose.
At least you're a firm local now.
Exactly. I saw a very different Portland in my time, than it is now. Both great Portlands. I love them both, but they are different, and there are many Portlands in between. I moved here originally because my now wife, then girlfriend, lived here in Portland, and Portland was way cooler than the town that I lived in. And I was like, all right, if one of us has to move, I'm just going to move there because it's way more awesome than this place. So that is how I found myself here initially. And I have always been a musician as far back as I can remember, really. I started playing guitar when I was like, I was 11 years old, and I'm 42 now. So over 30 years, which is a wild thought that I've been doing the same thing every day for 30 years.
It's good. We're getting to that age. I'm 37, and I find myself being like, 20 years ago.
Right. I've been playing this instrument longer than the person that I'm talking to has been alive.
Dude, oh my goodness. That happened to me the other day.
I'm sure it did.
I'm not going to say who it was, but it was somebody a musician that I really love and respect, who looks a little older than they are. And I was like, they were like, "Man, this show's great. I can't believe I'd never heard it before." I'm like, "Well, yeah, I mean, it's not the biggest thing in the world, but yeah, I've been doing it 10 years. And they were like, "Oh, that's like half my life." I was like, "Oh, geez."
What a way to humble you.
I'm so old. Anyway.
But I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. More than 10 years of a consistently running podcast. I mean, I think you deserve a round of applause for that.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's just I'm too stubborn. But
I won't quit, no matter what you say.
There were some of those times. We can get into that later, but let's continue with your story.
So I've been playing guitar a very long time. Actually, I remember the very moment that I decided that I needed to play guitar in live. And I was about 8 years old at the time. I was at a house party at my uncle's house, and on this big, very loud house stereo system, he had put on Crazy Train. And that was the first time that I had ever heard Crazy Train or anything from that record. And I was completely blown away. I had never heard anything like that in my life. Like it's like the guitar sounded so visceral. Like it sounded so like alive and ferocious and terrifying. Like it just wanted to just rip out of the speakers. And I was just like, I had no idea that a guitar could sound like this. And I was so inspired to start that I bothered my grandma long enough that she eventually bought me a guitar from the Fingerhut catalog when I was about 11. So that's when I started playing initially. But had always been a tinkerer, like I always liked to take things apart and put them back together and figure out how they work. So, within a few years, I had broken my guitars completely down and put them back together and seen if I could modify them in some way to better suit me. And one of the first things that I did a little bit later on, maybe when I was about 15 or so, was to start trading out pickups. So I replaced the bridge pickup in one of my guitars with my first upgrade was a Duncan. And I played that guitar and that pickup
many
for so
people's
long.
first upgrade is Duncan.
They're
Yes.
incredible. Like I still have such love for Duncan in my heart. Like the distortion and the JB are some of the best, rock and metal centric pickups ever made, in my opinion. So much love to them. But yeah, I learned that was the quickest, dirtiest way to make your guitar sound better. I could either get better at playing guitar or I could go buy a pickup and it would make me sound better. So I just started buying pickups.
That's my story with guitar pedals. Weird.
Exactly. Yeah. And they do, right? They make you sound better. So fast forward to 2015 or so. And I had just heard about the hand-wound pickups and scatterwound pickups. And this was a new concept to me. Like I had never really considered that like how a coil was wound would radically impact your tone, like that thought didn't occur to me. So I was really interested in that concept and I wanted to try them out. And at first I really wanted a set of bare knuckle pickups. I was fascinated by that company, but then I was looking at the price tag on them and I was like, well, these are a lot more expensive than the pickups that I'm used to. For the price of a set of these pickups, I bet I could buy one of those pickup winder things. And I could see if it would be possible to just make something like this myself. So after spending way more money on pickup winding gear than I would have on just a couple sets of pickups, very quickly after that, the concept for Arcana was born. So in 2016, officially, is when Arcana started. And have been going since then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, congratulations. That's a long time to have been doing anything as well. That's crazy.
Yeah. Almost caught up to you.
Yeah, I think 2015... the timeline gets a little foggy, is like when I first posted my first piece of like what I would consider content. The podcast itself, I believe, may have been like it's either very late 2015 or early 2016. So we're like right in there.
Where did it start? If not with the podcast, how did Tone Mob begin?
With a 1965 Ampeg J12 that I purchased from Old Town Music. I just thought it was a really cool amp. That was like kind of underpriced. I think I paid like, I don't know, maybe $275 for it or something, like not that much. And I was like, this thing sounds great. I mean, it can only kind of do a couple things.
Sure.
But those couple tricks are really cool. And I had just finished building this and had started loading gear out here. And I just took a picture of that amp and decided to post it. I had this concept for like Tone Mob stuff. I think I'd been sharing like different people's gear on an Instagram account because I was just like, oh, I like gear. All this time I'm spending like scrolling and looking
I could be getting paid for this.
Well, I didn't even know if I could get paid for it, but I was like, I could like curate it and make my own account and then maybe figure out something to do in this industry. That'd be cool. So I was like sharing different memes and different people's gear and always making sure to tag people, or if I didn't know who it was, like asking like, hey, where'd this picture come from? And it kind of started growing because it was a relatively early Instagram gear account. And that Ampeg was like, I think one of the first photos of my gear that I put up, because I didn't really have like any cool space to take photos in. It was just like my living room or something. I was overthinking it really, but it was that Ampeg that really set it off. And like, I kind of was like, whoa, this whole internet thing is a thing. I wonder if I could do internet stuff.
Do you still have the Ampeg?
I do. Yeah. I really don't get rid of a lot of stuff. I kind of just hoard like smog and just sit on it.
There's so much gear that I wish that I could have back. So I'm jealous of you for that.
It's fortunate, really. Like I just never had to sell a lot of it, or I like just refused to. Sure. I mean, I guess now that I think about it, there were some times I really should have sold some gear instead of like collecting pop cans from my coworkers to like buy Top Ramen. So I guess that stubborn thing's coming back into play.
I sold a guitar to buy my first pickup winder. So I always have to do that. Something out, something in, like that's how the system usually works for me.
I tried to tell myself I was going to do that years ago, and it made me unhappy, so I stopped doing that.
Oh,
I just kept
well.
I kept it quiet. But at some point, it's going to get ridiculous. I literally, before I had this space, I literally built it not for what it has become, which is like where I work and actually really important to what I do. It was purely selfish. I just wanted a place where I could go turn up loud amps and like fill up with gear. That was the whole idea. I was like, I'm just going to fill this place up with gear. It's going to be great. I'm going to be the weirdest dad in the neighborhood. And a lot of those things did come true. I just didn't, when I first started building it, it really wasn't for work. It just became that. And now it's the best piece of gear I own.
Right. It turns out everything that you love is a tax write-off.
Exactly. It's a good position to be in. But anyway, we're getting a little bit sidetracked. So when you started the company, was the goal like, I'm just going to kind of do this on the side, or I'm going to like really, make a go at this, like be the next Seymour Duncan? And then like, how did you find the niche that you ended up falling into?
So I was initially attracted to those bare knuckle pickups because they were one of the few that seemed to be marketing themselves towards metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's only a couple of pickups that really do that. There's a few out of everybody's line, like Duncan has some and DiMarzio has some, EMG, certainly people think about metal, but like there was no metal centric company,
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And I was just like, okay, this is the thing that I love. These are the sounds that I love to make. I'm making this product that I'm really enjoying the process of making. So like, I was like, well, what if there was a metal pickup company,
Yeah.
What if that existed? What if that was me? And that was really where the whole concept came from. So like, again, very quickly after I initially started winding, I was like, okay, this is a thing that's creating some traction. People are really liking this. They seem to, at least they're telling me that they like the way that they sound,
Right.
So I'm going to roll with this. I've had 10,000 concepts for businesses over the years, and some I've moved forward with and some I have not. This one right away, I was just like, I can do this. I'm confident that this is something that I can pull off, especially with the community that exists in Portland and on the internet. Like I can essentially go to guitar pickup winding school on YouTube,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I did. So I felt confident in being able to do it, and that was the initial push. Yeah, I was very intentional about creating a business right away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I think that's a little bit, maybe this, I don't know if this sounds weird to say, but in my experience, after having all these conversations, both on and off the podcast, most gear company owners don't start out that way. They usually start out, from what I've gathered, they start doing something because they're really interested in it. And then they sell a couple to their friends. And then one day they realize they have to make it a business, or they need to like slow down. Like,
Right.
Those are the only two options. And so a lot of my friends, I say, like accidentally ended up with businesses. They
That makes
started
sense.
because they wanted to be a musician. They found one part of this that they're really interested in, and they got really nerdy about it, and people start coming to them. And then one day they're like, oh, geez, where do I get employees from? Like, how did this happen?
Like the IRS demands that eventually you become a business,
Yes.
They're like, where is this revenue stream coming from exactly? And you're like, well, I guess I own a business.
Yeah. It's not from drugs. That's for sure.
I'm not laundering money. Definitely
Yeah.
not.
That's definitely not what I'm doing at all. So I saw a random video of the worst spaghetti restaurant I've ever seen that was clearly a money laundering operation. We'll have to get into that maybe at some point. I'll send you the video. That's not podcast material.
I heard a very similar story from someone at some point, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it could be the same story. I think it was just like some kind of weird Reddit hole or something. But people were talking about the same thing. So it could be the same story.
Yeah, like Mattress Firm. How it doesn't make any sense. So there's like all these mattress firms everywhere. What's going on?
You don't want the word firm in your mattress anyway. So like clearly they're trying to put people off.
Yeah. It's really weird how many mattress firms are. Look into the mattress firm conspiracy, everyone. It's very, it's at least very entertaining, if nothing else. But yeah, it is interesting that you like, okay, I'm going to need to have a business. So do you consider yourself sort of a like dyed in the wool entrepreneur type person? Because like my business partner, Scott, definitely is. Like that guy was never not going to have his own business. That's just how he's wired. Do you consider yourself that way?
people have told me things like this about myself. It's hard for me to think about myself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in my day job, in my other industry, I have seen and helped and worked with so many businesses that have come up, and I've seen what building a business looks like and what it takes out of people, like what they have to put in, you know. So while I would say it's not like inherently my nature, I'm not like a ruthless businessman, you know. I'm just a guy that loves playing the same 10 riffs over and over.
Sure.
I have learned a lot from watching others' mistakes, hopefully. And hopefully I can avoid some of those same pitfalls. Though I still find myself in the same pitfalls that I have seen and expected. So maybe that's inevitable too.
It's weird. Some of these things you can avoid for sure. And then some of those things you're just like, well, I never expected this to happen to me. I knew it was a thing. What am I doing here? And then you kind of just trace your steps and it's like, oh, well, you know, with any small business, you're wearing all of the hats for a long time. And getting to a point where you're not wearing even just one of the hats is a huge ordeal in a lot of ways. So when you're wearing all the hats, some balls are going to get dropped. It's just not possible. Like, you try to do your best by your customers, of course, like that's like the number one priority. But if you don't necessarily close out your books that day, no one's going to come kicking your door down. But at some point, you're going to find yourself in a world of chaos because you didn't do your books for 3 months. And then you're like, you know.
Thanks for reminding me of that, by the way. I appreciate it.
I'm not speaking from experience or anything.
Sure.
Yeah. No, it's just, there are some things you have to let slip or you're not going to be able to pull off the main core business functions when you're first starting out and you scale to a certain size. And I think that's how we find ourselves in pitfalls that we feel like we should know better than. That's just my take on it. I'm not trying to necessarily give myself an excuse, but that's how it looks to me.
For me, that pitfall is I'm really not good about keeping up with updating social media. I really should be, because that's where most people find me. You know, most people aren't Googling world's metalist pickup and coming to my website and buying them. That is not how people find me. They find me on Facebook or Instagram or something. But then I realize 2 weeks has gone by and I haven't posted anything. And crap, why did I even mail those pickups out and not even take a picture of them? Like, that's the sort of thing that gets me.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's something I had to rewire myself to think about. And then it kind of sucks on the other side of it, because then you're like, everything's content. Woo! And like your brain starts going that way. And I'm like, not everything has to be content. Don't be that guy, you know?
I immensely dislike that word. Like, I know that that's a terrible thing to say to content creators. And I mean no offense at all when I say that, but generally speaking, in the music industry, I feel like that word content has in a lot of ways replaced the word creativity. You know, like you imagine like some suited soulless record exec demanding more content, and you're just like, I thought I made music, not content.
Yeah,
so I'm opposed to the word for some reason, but
I hate that word, but I also can't figure out a better replacement, because, you know, do I consider it art when I take a picture of my taco or my slice of pizza and put it in my story? No, but it is kind of like part of my brand to share. I'm a big foodie, and I kind of just let my personality come through with everything, whether it makes sense in the context of a gear account or not. I don't really care at this point. It's just like, this is me. This is the stuff I'm into. But I don't necessarily consider it like, I might consider the food itself a piece of art, but I don't necessarily consider like me going like, click. And that's not to belittle photography. I'm talking about literally what I'm doing, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't
Well, if you made
like
the taco or if you made the pizza, that's a whole different story too. Like if you're shooting something that you created, I feel like that's a bit different also.
It is. And I'm just kind of speaking for myself. Like, do I consider it art necessarily when I'm doing a pedal demo? I mean, kind of, but I definitely don't pour myself into it the way I do like trying to write a real piece of music. You know, it's mostly improv. I do like 20 takes and pick the best one, or at least the one I think is the most fun, and go from there. Is it art? Do I consider it art in the same way? Just not really. I kind of have this weird line in my brain where there's content over here and it matters a little less. and there's art over here and it matters a little more. But at the same time, I really care about this podcast, and I care about doing a good job with it. Some people have told me that it can be a form of art, but I don't really view it that way either. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's a little bit blurry, but I do hate that word, even though I don't know what other word to use.
I didn't know that we were going to be in the what is art conversation. I would have brought a few books or notes with me, but I do feel like there is a difference between arts and crafts, you know? Like,
sure.
For me, photography is a utility craft, you know? Like, I like to believe that I could get to be okay at it, but really in the end, I'm just doing it as a means to an end. You know, I need pictures of these things because I need to put those pictures on the website. People need to know what they can look like. So I have to become like somewhat of a photographer, right? It's not where my passion lies. And maybe that's really the crux of it. Like wherever your passion lies, you're capable of making any craft be an art. But my art is music. It always has been. It's always peripheral to music. So things that are just like helping me along, I consider crafts. I guess that's a selfish way of looking at it, but
I don't know that it is. I think it's okay for everybody to have their own definition too, because there are things I've posted on the internet that I consider art, and there are things that I post on the internet more often that I consider content. And it's really kind of silly to even worry about it too much because they literally go on the internet, sometimes in the same place, on the same account.
In the end, it's what you do. People can decide what they want to call it, and that's fine. Yeah,
and hopefully they like it, and there. But like the other term I hate, and I don't have a better term for, is like the influencer thing. Like I hate that so much because I'm like, I'm not trying to influence anybody. You know, if I think something's cool, I'm going to tell you about it, and if I think something's stupid, I'm going to tell you about it. That you don't have to listen to me though. Like. I think that the word influencer is gross to me because it connotates that like my opinion is more valid than somebody else's.
Sure.
And it's not. So I don't really understand why that's what that became labeled. I much prefer, as much as I don't like the term content, I much prefer the term content creator over influencer, because that's really what it is. You're making stuff for people to check out. Whether they're influenced by it or not is anyone's guess.
And you know, a lot more people are listening to and watching you than most others. So perhaps you are influencing them in some way.
I just hope that they're entertained or something. that their day's just slightly better because of some stupid thing I said. I hope that's my one hope, right?
I think it can be, like, especially during some rougher times, you know, like over like 2020, for instance. There were podcasts that like, and like YouTube channels, like those people became the closest thing that I had to friends during that time, you know? So there's a lot that you can do for people's lives that you might not ever guess, just talking about, you know, gear or whatever it is that your passion is. Like you can really be connecting with and helping people in ways that you could have never imagined.
Yeah, so I would have never guessed that getting started in this, but after enough time and enough emails and DMs and stuff, it's like, oh, I mean, it's weird to say like that it matters, because to me, there's so many more important things, but to some people it does. And that means a lot to me. And I don't want to take that too lightly and just, you know, be like, oh, well, it doesn't, I know you think it matters, but it doesn't. Like, I don't care. I do care. I just try to keep myself in check. I am a dude in a shed in the backyard talking into a microphone.
We're all dudes in sheds. All of us.
Yeah, we're just hanging out. And that's been a really fun thing that's happened because of the show too, is all the people I've got to meet. And, you know, my wife will end up meeting some of them and she's like, they're all just like you. Like,
there's a whole army of you out there.
There's so many people like you I didn't know. I could have picked a more attractive version.
Well, don't tell my wife. She thinks that I'm the only one.
Oh, she does. Wow.
I'm the only guy with 25 black guitars in a shed in their house.
Well, you know, I don't have 25 black guitars, so you got me beat there.
Okay,
I've got like 7. I don't know. I do love black guitars.
It's classic.
But so obviously we've talked a lot about how you are into metal and wanted to serve that community. When did you first like really find like the super heavy stuff? Obviously you talked like Crazy Train was the intro. That's a pretty good intro.
Yeah.
My kid's currently on that kick right now, which is really
Nice.
fun. He wants to listen to Ozzy every time we get in the car. I'm like, yes,
Amazing.
yes. But when did you start finding the more extreme side of things?
Hey, Rocky.
What's up, Vincent?
Did you hear about the latest?
Latest what?
The latest drop from Maris. It's totally insane.
No, tell me more.
Maris just released Enzo X.
What's that?
Enzo X is a supernova expansion from the original Enzo into the highest quality and most flexible studio synthesizer ever created in a pedal format.
Whoa!
Enzo X combines 5 synth types, 5 drives, 3 reverbs, and 5 modulations. It also includes a full 2.5 second stereo delay, all in one pedal.
That sounds hard to use.
It's not. The UI is from the same family as the Mercury X and the LVX. It's super easy to dive in and see exactly what you are tweaking in real time.
Oh, I see. It's right there on the screen.
Yep.
Is it just for guitars, though?
Nope. You can plug almost anything into the Enzo X, including your MIDI controller.
That sounds incredible. Where do I get it?
You can pick up Enzo X online at maris.us or at any of their fine retailers across the globe.
Did you just say across the globe?
They know what I meant.
Wait, are we getting paid for this?
I'm still waiting on that cash money from last time.
He better at least give us pizza for dinner.
I'm not giving him his Enzo X back until he does.
For more information, make sure you check out maris.us, and apparently I have to go order a pizza. How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services, and it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there. We are brought to you today by Sweetwater, specifically the Gear Exchange. You may have heard about this. This is a place where you can go to buy and sell your used gear. Maybe you got a pedal over there that's just kind of collecting dust. Maybe there's something you've been eyeing from the Sweetwater catalog. Well, right now is a great time to turn that unused gear into something you're actually going to use. Even better, if you sell on the Gear Exchange, you can keep 100% of the sale as long as you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout method. That is not too shabby because, let's be honest, most of this buying and selling we do is just to fund new gear purchases, and that is a great way to reach a wide variety of customers and keep 100% in your pocket, or rather on your pedal board. So go check out the Sweetwater Gear Exchange and turn that unused gear into something that's actually going to help you write that next huge riff.
This was a very natural progression for me. Like I was listening to like the first Black Sabbath record literally in utero, like I've been listening to that record my whole life. Mm-hmm. And then, you throw in other things that are like tangent to that, like, Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple. And like you have a lot of the things then that are the like building blocks of modern massive metal sounds, Mm-hmm. So my trajectory was like growing up listening to all of those things. And then when I started playing guitar, initially, I was listening to things like Iron Maiden and Metallica at the time. And I realized that as a fledgling guitarist, I just couldn't play that stuff. Right. There was just no chance that I was going to be able to play those songs. And I was like, I got to learn something that actually works for me. And it was the early 90s. So I was into grunge and stuff at the time too. So I listened to a lot of like, Pearl Jam and Temple of the Dog and Soundgarden and, Nirvana and Alice in Chains was huge for me. Like Jerry's tone on Dirt still gives me chills. Mm-hmm. Every time I hear that guitar sound, I'm like, why can't my guitar sound like that?
Dude, yeah. I've been trying to get Jerry on. I know I got his people, but we haven't got him on yet. I'm working on it.
Nice. I will definitely, I would love to see that, because he's one of the best tone sculptors out there, in my opinion, as far as like metal guitar tone goes. Like I love his tone so much so that I dreamed of owning an Uberschall for so many years. I was like, I got to own this amp. Not because he even played Ubers that often, but I figured the Uber was like the closest approximation to like the sound that he puts together. You know, he uses those Bogner Fish preamps pretty often, and he uses like VHT power amps pretty often. And I was like, well, this is the best approximation. So a couple of years ago, I finally got that Uber, and it's been one of my main amps ever since. But anyhow, back into metal.
Been on my list as well for a long time. Hopefully I can make that happen one day.
Yeah, come play mine, or I'll bring it over sometime. We'll check it out.
Oh, yes. Okay, we'll do that.
But continuing forward, I would, it was a lot. I don't mean to put down the Seattle sound when I say this, but it was easier to learn the songs, you know?
Of course. Then Megadeth? Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. Like I could not shred, so I was like, I better learn how to play Smells Like Teen Spirit. So I just did that.
First song I ever taught myself.
Yeah, there you go. Mm-hmm. And then I played in several bands doing that kind of thing. But, you know, that was around the time that like nu metal started getting popular too. So I was listening to some of that. This is a very embarrassing period of my music background.
I disagree. I still am on the nu metal. I'm still a big System of a Down, Deftones, Slipknot. I'm here for it. I'm all about it.
Yeah, and that was the kind of stuff that we were listening to. So I was in some bands that were like very System of a Down, Slipknot inspired at the time. I was in kind of like what we just called a death metal band, you know. And I was listening to a lot of that sort of stuff. And then, though I didn't know anything about traditional death metal at that time, so that was really an affront to everything they hold dear.
We're really on got some parallel things going on. I remember being like, yeah, Slipknot's death metal. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's like, no,
exactly.
No, dog.
We didn't know any better.
No, we didn't.
I mean, I listened to a little bit of what people would consider more classic death metal, but for whatever reason, the death metal and I never really clicked. Like, there's some bands that I like, but for the most part, I went off into a different trajectory. I was playing with a drummer in this death metal band, and he was into black metal, and he lent me a few records. I think he lent me Emperor, Anthems to the Welcome at Dusk. He lent me Night Side Eclipse. He lent me Pagan Prosperity, Old Man's Child. A couple others, and I was just like, wow, this is really intense. Like, yeah, like the drums are all blasts, you know, everything is like tremolo picked single string chords. Like, you know, the vocalists sound like they're in the process of dying. So
yes,
I was like, okay, I think this is as extreme as it can get. I think this is the end game for metal. So I started getting into black metal more and more and more, and I have now for more than 15 years had a black metal band. So you can go listen to what the culmination of Black Sabbath, Nirvana, and Slipknot sounds like in the context of black metal.
I like.
If you want to hear that,
I do want to hear that. Where do I hear that?
So the band is called Cavisum, Cavusum. You can find it wherever you like to listen to music.
All right, cool. And I'll put a link for that in the description or the show notes or wherever the words are on whatever platform you're checking this out on. That's where the links will be for this stuff.
Little tidbit, every single song that we have recorded with Cavisum has been done with an Arcana pickup.
Oh, very cool.
So you'll hear a little bit of Arcana pickup demos if you listen to Cavisum also.
Perfect. It's a 2-for-1 deal there. Yeah, it's the metal world is such an interesting one because I found my way into the more extreme sides of it through a little bit different path. The nu metal and stuff was definitely my introduction to them. Like, people can scream in music, like not like Screamin' Jay Hawkins scream. I know I was like aware of that and like AC/DC and things, but I was like, this is a different kind of screaming. This is like the whole point of the song in some ways, in certain songs. and also I didn't know what I was hearing, but it also introduced me to down tuning. I was like, what are these thick sounding guitar? Am I hearing a distorted bass? Like, I literally didn't know what it was. I had no idea, but I knew I wanted to do it. And it became my life's mission to go dun, 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 dun. Like, and then I finally succeeded in doing that. But, and then through that, I kind of rode the whole Warped Tour, like hardcore, metalcore, punk rock wave, and never really got off that either. But that it was through metalcore and like the introduction of deathcore in like 2006, somewhere in that ballpark, you know, when I started hearing things like Suicide Silence and things like that, that I was like, oh, what's this? This is way more extreme than the metalcore stuff I'm listening to. Where did this come from? Like, they didn't just invent this whole cloth. There's elements of it, of metalcore in there, and there's elements of, like, I could hear some different influences from more of the thrash bands and things, but I was like, I'm missing a link somewhere here. And that's when I like went back and figured out, oh, Cannibal Corpse. Okay. Oh, okay. Here's some of the black metal bands. Okay. All right. And I became more fascinated with the lore. Black metal, I like have this weird relationship with, in that I think there are elements of it that I absolutely love, but I like those sprinkled into other things, if that makes sense.
Blackened thrash, or
things like that. Or like, this is the most Portland hipstery thing to say. I love Death Heaven, you know, like it's kind of shoegazy black metal, you know, in some ways.
Sure. I just like that it pisses people off. Like,
yes, I love that
anything
too.
that forces people to engage with music and think about it for a moment, even if that's to figure out why they hate it. I appreciate them instantly.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel weird. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs of that band. Maybe there's some things that I should be upset about, or maybe not. I don't know. But like sonically to me, I'm like, this just sounds cool. It combines a lot of the more ethereal type of sounds that I like to make with the heavier sounds that I like to listen to too. It seems like a perfect combination. One of my favorite bands that does that on a little bit on the lighter side, but is Holy Fawn. I don't know if you've heard them, but they're like a more shoegazy version. Little more melodic in a lot of ways, but just like big walls of sound. Metal influenced shoegazy walls of sound is the best way I can put it. Really like
it's that. Almost like any genre can eventually evolve into metal. And like, this is the sort of thing that you get when post-rock evolves into metal.
Right? Yeah, it is actually. That's a pretty good description, actually. Good band. But yeah, metal just has all these offshoots. And I would like to pick your brain on this a little bit, because to me, we're seeing bands that I never ever would have thought could be really, really successful become huge. You know, I'm just kind of shocked that some really heavy bands are, you know, carving out what appears to be a fairly upper middle class life for themselves at this point. When growing up, I was told, like, give that up. That's never going to go anywhere. Like, what do you attribute the more quote unquote mainstream adoption of some of these extreme sounds with?
I think these things come and go in waves. Like, people forgot about metal in the mainstream for a long time, and a new generation of people are picking up and listening to these things now that did not grow up with the things that we grew up with, you know? Mm-hmm. And when they hear, you know, I know that you're talking about Sleep Token. When they hear Sleep Token, they're just like, wow, I've never heard anything like this before. Yeah. And I'm just like, well, I heard that in 1992, but like, it's cool that you like it too, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was even going further. I was talking more about like Knocked Loose, or something like that, which is more of a hardcore band, but still it's like pretty abrasive to be playing Jimmy Kimmel. Yeah. I never thought I'd see a pig squeal on Jimmy Kimmel, but they did it.
There it is.
So I'll take it. Right. And I think anything that pushes it along further, because of course anybody that gets that big has a bunch of haters, sure. And it's okay to not like stuff. That I'm not saying that you shouldn't like, that you have to like everything, but I view bands that get that big. Do I think Sleep Token's like my favorite thing? No, but am I glad that they're out there? Like, you have to have entry points to this stuff.
Sure.
Very few people just wake up and are, listening to Emperor as a 2-year-old. Maybe your kids will. I don't know. But,
they definitely did, and it is all old hat to them.
Yes,
like they have seen me wearing suits of armor and with spikes all over me and carrying swords and covered in paint. They have seen it all. At some point, one of their friends is going to be like, "Hey, have you heard this new metal band?" And it's going to be like whatever the new thing is in 2027, and they're going to be like, "Dude, are you serious?"
Right? Like, where you been? Now, hold on. We can't just let this go by. Suits of armor, swords. Please tell me more about your suits of armor and swords. What in what context are we walking around in suits of armor and swords? Because regardless, I appreciate it.
How to describe it? So in black metal, there's an aesthetic, there's a persona, there's a way that you are portrayed. You try to showcase visually as best you can the sound that you're trying to create, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the sound, I knew very early on that the sound that I wanted to create was like something that felt medieval and it felt like demonically possessed. Like those are the sorts of vibes that I wanted to create in music. Like I loved those harmonic minors. I love the sorts of sounds like that. So I wanted to create something visually that looked as much like that as possible when I was creating the persona for the band Cavisum.
Mm-hmm.
And that involved a lot of weird tangent hobbies. Like I had to learn leatherworking. Luckily, my vocalist had some experience with leatherworking, and he showed me quite a lot of things. And together we built suits of leather armor to wear with the band.
Nice.
So he looks like a cursed Roman gladiator. He's again covered in spikes and whatnot, and like gauntlets, and he has like big pauldrons and things like that.
Yes.
And then I look like the most common thing that people talk about is that they say that my getup looks like a ring wraith.
Oh, sick.
There's always a guy with a hood in the band in black metal bands. I'm the guy with the hood in the black metal band. So those are the reasons why my children have seen me skulking around the house in armor, dragging swords behind me like Pyramid Head.
This actually makes a lot more sense. I was like, man, maybe he's like really into Ren fairs.
Yeah, I'm like LARPing. I'm essentially LARPing in my band.
Yeah, that's sick though. I mean, I'm not even hating. I like Ren fairs. I just am not going to put in all the effort that everybody. I will go enjoy everyone else's effort is what I will do. I appreciate. I like when people are really into stuff. Even if that stuff is not my thing, I think it's cool. To me, there's like almost nothing worse in life than if you're just going around. We've all talked to people like this. You making small talk somewhere and you're like, so yeah, what are you into? And they're like, nothing.
I watch TV.
Yeah. Family Feud, Now it's different if you're like the world's leading Family Feud enthusiast and it like really excites you. That's cool. Like I'm down for that. But it's just like the passive kind of like where there's nothing that lights you up at all. It's hard for me to relate to. Because I know exactly too many hobbies, and I feel like I'm maybe coming across as I'm like talking down on somebody that has depression. That's not what I mean. I just mean we've all met the person who has no hobbies and has no interest in ever having one either. They just kind of rot in their sofa most of the time. And I don't want to be that person personally.
Well, especially when it comes to gear, I think that it's a very easy road to sort of become a gear hobbyist, Like you're on these forums from 2003 learning about gear that like you don't even know where to get or how to find and like how to put it all together and to create like a very curated sound. Like it will send you down a rabbit hole of really caring about something, even if you're not that personality type. But I anticipate that mostly what it is that these sort of mildly obsessive personality types like us are just attracted to music because it really caters to that. Like both in the writing and in the theory of writing, in the production and in the recording, which has been a huge rabbit hole for me. I have done all of the recording and all of the mixing for all of the Cavisum records, and I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I was just like, I got to make it sound good. That was my goal.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was a really fun rabbit hole. And some people are just attracted to these sorts of rabbit holes. If something doesn't have all of this like complex accoutrements and learning curves, then some people are just not interested in it. And that's musicians, guys. Like that's how we all are.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you view yourself as somebody who's just like banging out power chords, or something relatively simple, guess what? Most people don't even know how to do that. Like, really. Like, I mean, it sounds weird because to us, it's the easiest thing ever. We learned that when we were 13. Not everyone does. Most people don't know how to do that. And that's why the guy singing Wonderwall at the campfire isn't like, nobody's like super into it necessarily. But at the same time, a lot of people are like, well, I can't play guitar. I don't know how to do that. It's actually a pretty small fraction of the population that plays any musical instrument. Yeah, it's weird. Yeah,
everybody that I know plays instruments, so that's hard for me to understand. But that's just the circles that I travel in.
Well, let's put it this way. There's a report that came out last year. The entire musical instrument market, the whole thing, Guitar Center, Fender, down to boutique guys, the smallest companies, everything that can be accounted for. Obviously, there's some holes in it. Do you have any idea how many sales or how many days of sales it would be at Walmart to equal the entire MI industry annually?
I couldn't even begin to guess.
It was a lot less than I thought.
It's gonna be like 7 minutes or something, isn't it?
It was 5 days.
5 days.
5 days of Walmart revenue equals the entire annual revenue of the MI market.
But Walmart sells guitars, so that skews the numbers.
They kind of sell guitars. I think it's just revenue for revenue. But I was like, oh wow, this industry really is barely big enough to be an industry. Fender's owned by a Hawaiian car dealership, and that's not to say that a Hawaiian car dealership can't be a big successful business. It just puts it into context for like what Fender is.
Yeah, super confusing when somebody asks them and what they do, and they're like, oh, I make Fenders, and they're like, oh, like the guitars or the car parts, and they're like, both. Yeah, sure. It's like Yamaha. What do you do? Oh boy, buckle up. We got some stuff for you. I can make you a keyboard. I can make you a guitar. I can also make you, like a 4-wheeler.
Yeah. Back in the 2000s, we had archery equipment. Like, what do you want? Yeah, you want a jet ski?
What are you into?
Yeah. And guess what? It's all going to be pretty good too.
Yeah.
That's the most amazing thing about Yamaha. They do it all and they do it well. It's crazy. So, segueing a little bit, when you got off the ground running, like when was there a moment when you like realized like, okay, you said I'm going to start this business, but was there a moment when you realized like, oh, this is a sustainable thing that I can actually do long term, and there's demand for it, there's repeat customers, like this is part of my thing? Was there a moment where it stopped being a hobby, for lack of a better term?
For this one, for me, I feel like its hobby phase was very short.
Okay.
Maybe the year of 2015, in which I was just initially learning how it all worked, and I was like applying all of the recipes that I had read about online and everything. Mm-hmm. And then instantly I started seeing very, very good results.
Nice.
Like the very first pickup that I made, I still have it. It's still in one of my guitars. I was like, wow, this sounds really good. This sounds better than any pickup I have ever bought. Like it sounds different. It has its own character. The thing about, as I'm sure you know, the hand wound and the scatterwound pickups is that they do truly have a very different character, right? Like I find their high end especially to be very chimey and like brass bell like and very, very, very musical. They have such a musical and sweet high end. And you think that I'm talking about a Fender single coil when I say this, and I can be talking about that or whatever. But even in the context of the most saturated guitar tone, when you apply a hand wound pickup to it, you get a more intriguing and dynamic response from that pickup, which to me inspires me to play more. It inspires me to play differently even, So as soon as I saw this again in 2015, I was like, this is the thing. This is the thing I like right here. Like, I like these machine wound pickups as well. And now at this point, Arcana does a combination of hand wound coils and machine wound coils. And some models even combine the two for certain tonal characteristics. So I'm not opposed to machine wound ones or anything. But I suppose when I first started winding and realized that, hey, these are actually really good, I instantly was just like, okay, cool, I got it. Like I know what to do now. And it seems like it evolved in a direction that I didn't anticipate, in that having always been some kind of an artist, I was like, well, I got to start making these things look cool.
Yeah.
You know,
like to get into that. So yeah, I'm glad you got there.
That's the thing. So, you know, I experimented with a lot of different methodology for like how to apply images and like make these things look really badass. You know, like I wanted them to look kind of dangerous and kind of industrial and like something that's like just this terrifying little sound box, you know?
Yeah.
So I leaned pretty heavily into that because people responded really well to it. You know, they were just like, whoa, I had no idea pickups could look like that. That's so cool. Look, can you put this anime character on one? And I'm just like, sure. Whatever you want.
Yep.
So I do a lot of very, very custom images and designs and processes to make the pickups look however you could conceive of a pickup looking. Whatever image you want on one, however crisp and clean or gnarly and messed up you want your pickups to look, that is Arcana specialty.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is probably why I don't even know. I think probably is not even worth putting in there. That is why when I first saw your work, I was like, oh, what's that? Because I've seen a humbucker a million times, and most of them don't look like anything. They just look like a humbucker, and they might be some of the world's greatest humbuckers, but it's just a chrome case.
Yeah.
So that is actually probably in my mind one of the most difficult things about pickups. It's certainly one of the most difficult things about strings, is that there's no way to brand them really. Even like doing colored ball ends or something doesn't mean a whole lot if you don't really know what that is, and you don't see them half the time anyway. Right. So it's one of those things where you, with a Gibson guitar or an ESP or a Fender or whatever, you're on stage and you're kind of at least subconsciously getting that brand out there, and people see it and they recognize it and they want it. Orange Amp's probably the biggest one of the 2000s, right? I know it's an old brand, but they really came back hard in the 2000s because all of us were going, what are those? You know, you can see them. With the strings and pickups, it's a lot more challenging, but you found a way to stand out, and I think they look really cool. Did you have a visual art background? Obviously, you're talking about making suits of armor and things, but prior to that, did you have a visual art background of some sort, or just an eye for this kind of aesthetic?
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Good Hertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblissaudio.com. I think you're gonna like what you find.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
We keep harkening back to my childhood here, but for my entire life, I had drawn up until I started playing guitar. So I was always drawing in school, much to my teacher's chagrin. But every piece of homework that I turned in had a Grim Reaper drawn on it somewhere.
Yes,
that's what my homework looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started playing guitar, and even at the very tender age of 11, I was like, I don't have time in my life to maintain both art and music. Like this just isn't happening for me,
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, I chose music to be the thing that I poured my passion into. But art is still back there somewhere. Like I still try to use it as much as I can get away with, and it will still it will still serve music in some way, for instance, with Cavisum, we do all of the visual art stuff ourselves for the band. So my vocalist paints, and he does the paintings that ultimately become the covers of our records. And then, he will draw logos, and then I will digitize those logos and spend a ton of time with them, in the computer to like make them look exactly how I want them to look. And so we have a very collaborative art team, even in music. And I do the same thing with pickups. Like, anything that will allow me to express someone's artistic wishes is going to please me more than something that didn't, So especially when people are like, oh, I'm looking for this kind of tone. I like this sort of thing. I like these bands. And I'm like, okay, well, you want this pickup or you want that one out of the lineup? And they're like, oh, but like, I'm really into like this aesthetic. Like, I really like this particular thing. Like, can we get a pickup that has like this item on it? Like that really pleases me, to bring together those two worlds, one of which I kind of abandoned, in which you can appeal to a product that you're making artistically as well as sonically. So I suppose I have always had an art background, but I did put it on the back burner for music many, many decades ago.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something weird that I noticed. So I do another podcast called Tape Spaghetti, and the most recent one we recorded was a little less of a presentation. Normally where it's like one of us is presenting a topic to the other one. And this was a little more of a conversation-based one about like just weird visual things associated with music. So it was like kind of started with the concept of like Aphex Twin burying his face in his music type of thing. Like, what a weird concept. What do you like? That's strange. And then I realized that wasn't enough to make a whole episode off of. And I started integrating like synesthesia and specifically chromesthesia, which is, for people who don't know, that's synesthesia is when you have one sense that's somehow linked to another. So the most common one that people hear about is chromesthesia, which is sound translates to a color in people's brain. Sometimes they visually see it, sometimes they just kind of feel it. But an oddly high number of musicians have some form of it. I'm not riddled with it. I don't sit there and just see blue every time I pick a certain chord, but I have definitely experienced moments of it. Especially when I'm really in like that flow state and something's just kind of taking over and pouring out. We've all experienced that at some point. It's a great feeling. That's when I've experienced like the colors, and Scott had also experienced some of that. So I think there is, and then we mentioned this article where in Pitchfork, I think, where they're like, do all musicians have chromesthesia all of a sudden? That can't be true. I don't think everybody does, but I think it's a lot more than maybe in the average. Like, if you percentage wise, if you take musicians versus the general population, I think there's going to be a very high percentage that experience that or have that on a semi-regular basis. So it's weird. I think that there's something about art and creativity that isn't necessarily a biological thing like that, but there's some way that they're just inextricably tied together. And I don't think you can really get away from one or the other forever.
It doesn't surprise me a bit. I mean, if something intriguing like that happens with you, why would you not be attracted to trying to figure out why and trying to explore it? And maybe you like the color blue and you're just like, well, what notes can I play that are kind of blue?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or in your case, black.
Or
right?
Yeah, exactly. What's the black note?
We got to find the black note. I think that's a G sharp. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to go with that. Yeah, sure. Why not? Well, Ricky, we are approaching the end of the main episode, and I have a couple classic questions I like to wrap this show up with. But before I do, I like to give the guest the chance to take the stage. You can shout out anybody you want to shout out. You can plug anything you want to plug. You're talking to a few thousand people right now. The floor is yours.
All right. The community is so big. I have so many people to plug and to say thank you to. Where do I start? Thank you for keeping the podcast going for 10 years. I hope that you have another 10. So shout out to you.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you, Blake. Shout out to my uncle for playing Crazy Train that one time when I was 8. Who knows what would have happened in my life if that had not occurred?
Yes.
And as far as gear and stuff goes, like there are so many local awesome shops that I can't recommend enough. So if you are a Portlander and you're listening to or watching this, please check out some of these shops that we've mentioned. Places like Paradise, I absolutely adore. You can find some Arcana pickups in there and some exclusive pieces. Hanks is really cool. I have some friends that work over there. I visit Trade Up and Old Town. Centaur is awesome. Portland Music Company even was one of the first ones that I visited a lot, and 5 Star as well. And Thunder Road is probably one of the coolest shops nationally.
Oh yeah,
if you're looking for a certain kind of thing. So certainly visit some of those places. Also, so many awesome Luthers that I've worked with over the years. So many very, very talented people that I have met and been able to make pickups for their guitars. People like Black Chapel here in Portland. Rest in peace, Mike. WKM, Monson, Valorous here in Portland are incredible. Warzen Mocked, Saw, Strega is one of the coolest pointy guitars out there. Days and Uncle Death is another one that's very new to the scene, but I suspect that a lot of people listening to this or watching this have seen or heard of some of their guitars, because
that's new. That one's new to me. I got to check that out.
Look it up. You're going to be very impressed if you like pointies.
The thing is, I have a soft spot for pointies. I don't.
Oh, perfect.
And I want pointies, but I don't own any pointies.
Okay.
I need to correct that at some point. So yeah,
I'm an X guitar guy. I like the X shape. So I started on like the Jackson Warrior. I still play a lot of Jacksons and BC Riches. So very, very near and dear to my heart. I play a BC Rich Virgin primarily with Cavisum.
Cool.
But what else should I I suppose I should mention me. If you want to see or hear any of these pickups that we've talked about, go to arcanapickups.com. ARCANA. You know how to spell pickups. You can find those also on Instagram. I'm on other places like YouTube and Facebook and stuff, but like I said, I'm terrible with the social media stuff. So if you message me on there, I might never get back to you. So please go to the website if you want me to actually write you back. What else? We have a sale going on a brand new pickup that we just unveiled this month. So the sale, I don't know if the audience is going to be able to pick this up yet or not, but it goes until the end of September.
Okay, well, maybe we'll leapfrog this to the front so that they can hear this. Yeah, I think I will do that.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. The model is called a Rapier, and the code to get a discount on that is Rapier 20 off. RAPIER 20, the word off. If you type that in on the website, you'll get that 20% off the Rapier model, which is a very in coming full circle, it's a very lead centric pickup. Like a lot of my pickups are for, tremolo picking single strings or strumming chords or, palm mutes that hit you in the chest. But this pickup is all about really cutting in a lead sense. So if you want to play, like Randy or Jakey, this is the pickup for you.
Okay, there you go. Perfect. All right. And again, people, the information will be there in the show notes or the episode description. So if you forgot what he just said, that's where it is. Go check it out. All right. Final questions. Here we go. First one. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Ooh, good question. About 4 of them just popped into my mind, maybe 5. I got to separate this into categories. All right, so I'm gonna do I'm gonna do like honorable mentions, and then my favorite. I think honorable mentions have to be some utility pedals like NS2 and TU3. Like those are at home on everybody's board. You have to use those. I wouldn't say that they're the perfect version of any of those, but they're the most accessible and they work phenomenally. And if the Edge or somebody that can have any pedal on the planet is using, a Boss noise suppressor or a Boss tuner, I'm just like, well, I guess I can too.
Yep.
In staying consistent with talking about lead tones, I like the SD1 for leads quite a lot. It's not my favorite boost when it comes to doing rhythm stuff. Like I'm typically a TS9 guy for boosts, though I have some more modern boosts that I like a lot too, especially if I'm tuning down. But yeah, I think that the SD1, it seems to have like a higher high pass that really gets the leads like sitting right in that pocket and sounding distinguished from your rhythm tracks, even if you're using the same amp and guitar, so that's why I like that one. And then Secret Weapon, favorite Boss pedal. I really like the GE7 7-band EQ used as a boost.
Yep.
Most people put it in the effects loop, and it does a great job in the effects loop. But if you put it ahead of your amp's input, you get so much clean boost from that pedal. Like you can crank up the output, and it will just slam your amp's input. And also with the 7-band EQ, you get like you can do the same things that you do with the Tube Screamer. You can roll off some low end. You can give it a little mid bump. You can tailor your highs to your amp. It's essentially an infinitely customizable boost when used in that context. So I'm going to go with GE7 as favorite Boss pedal.
All right, GE7. And then my favorite trick, you can make a big smiley face in the middle of it and B12 again. That's the best part. Go. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, love me a smiley face EQ when I'm alone. Not when I'm with a band, but when I'm alone, it's a lot of fun.
Do you turn it into a frown when you're in a band?
I'll flatten it out. We're not going to go that far. I'm not going to give them too much of what the main voice of the instrument is. That's silly.
They got to look for it.
They got to find it. They got to find it. Yeah. Good pulse. That's good. Good. Okay, final question, and this will be a little extra nerdy because you live here. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Oh, also a very good question, isn't it? So I really like a Neapolitan style pizza, like maybe a little bit smaller, a thinner crust, but not like cracker crisp. I like a margarita pizza. I think that is the quintessential darling of all pizzas is the margarita. So places that I would go in town to get that sort of thing, I really like a Pizza Shoals.
Yes.
I think that their work is excellent. I like Life of Pi for like a cheap, quick, dirty version of that.
Yep. Yep.
Because again, it's that smaller, like kind of charred, like wood fired, like bubbly, kind of gnarly looking margarita pizza. Like those are my jam.
Yep.
I would throw Ken's Artisan or Checkerboard in there as being one of the better ones of that, though they're gigantic.
Yeah,
same for
big.
Pizza Shoals. But kind of on the DL, my favorite one is Cafe Ollie. Have you been there?
I have not been to Cafe Ollie. No.
MLK and Failing. They make that same style of like small wood-fired Neapolitan, and they do such a very good job with it. So that's one of my favorites too.
All right. I like that. Yeah, Checkerboard, I remember when they were in the Pine Street Market, and it was like one of my favorite like New York style slices in the city. And then they closed down for a while and they reopened up out in Troutdale. And I just recently was out in Troutdale for some random reason. And I was like, oh, I know where I need to go. Still hits. It's still legit. Still very good.
Do they still have those little pepperonis that like turn into a bowl of pepperoni juice?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's the stuff.
It's very good. So Checkerboard, shout out. Yeah, they're still doing it. And one for you personally that is a little bit of a newer entrant. I don't know how I think they've probably been around maybe 3 years or so, maybe 4. is Turning Peel off Division.
Turning Peel.
Yep, it's in a house, and this lady started making her own sourdough. The sourdough starter is named Bao Bao, and and she only has a certain amount of pizzas per day, and it is tremendous, so good. It's like that Neapolitan style sourdough pizza.
Nice.
But then she has different things you can dip them in, like this whipped ricotta that's insanely good. These different oils and stuff. But even if you don't do that, if you just go and get the pie as is, it's so good. I think you'll really
thank
like
you
it.
for that. I appreciate that tip. I'll go there. You go to Cafe Ollie. We'll meet back here.
Yes.
Talk about our experiences.
I like that. Sounds good. All right, well, we'll get over to Patreon and see what kind of shenanigans we can get into over there. Does that work for you?
Sounds good.
All right, everybody. For Ricky, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Alrighty, folks, I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I enjoyed recording it. I really appreciate Ricky taking his time to come on and blabber with me over the interwebs. It was a really great conversation, and we had even more of it over on Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can help keep this thing going. You can literally help keep the lights on here. And I appreciate everybody that's done that for all this time. I really, truly do. Thank you all so much. You guys are the best. And if you want to be amongst the best, like no one ever was. No, sorry about that. My elder millennial poked out there for a second. But if you want to be amongst what I call the cool kids and get extra bonus episodes and get access to the ad-free feed for only $5 a month, you can do that over on Patreon. Patreon.com/ToneMob is the place for that. And I very much appreciate everybody who does that and everybody who grabs those bonus episodes. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you. But if you can't do that, I would appreciate a share. Any episode, if it's this one or if it's another one, please share this with people that you think would enjoy it. It really does keep this thing going. I've said this a lot, but it bears mentioning. I love audio podcasts. I love audio only formats. I think it kind of allows a little freedom in your consumption, and it allows your mind to kind of picture things and be a little more active than video. Not that there's anything wrong with video, of course, but I just love the audio medium, and that's why that is where I started. That said, there are no algorithms really pushing audio-only content. Everything's gone video these days. This podcast started audio only, and I'm trying to catch up as best I can. But if you could share this with somebody, who also likes to listen to things rather than be glued to the screen, that would mean a lot, because there are knocking on the door of 500 episodes available for fellow audio enthusiasts. And you guys who have been on those audio platforms for, I'm getting old, about 10 years now, you're the reason I get to keep doing this. I don't get as much traction on YouTube, although I'm working to change that as best as I can. But all of you who have been there for the ride on these audio platforms are who enable me to do this. So thank you all so much. Please continue to listen. Please continue to share. And I'm going to keep putting it out there for you. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And I will talk to you on the internet very soon.
One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon. But guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.